Is this new Ghost Rider a hell of a deal? Or is this demon biker a total burnout? Welcome to 5 points of articulation. Starting with the packaging, and Danny comes in a double-wide Marvel Legends window box. This Ghost Rider is from the 85 Years collection, and I love this artwork they used on the spine. They actually did not use it on the back of the box. Instead, we get a pretty nice product shot, all the features of the motorcycle, and even a little bio. All the 85 Years figures we've looked at so far, this might just be my favorite box of the bunch. So for packaging, I'm giving Ghost Rider 5 points. Moving on to presentation, and to the crown of his skull, Ghost Rider stands at 6 1/4 inches, or 16 centimeters. A little bit on the short side for a Marvel Legend, but we'll see how he looks in playability. Before we can measure the motorcycle though, there is some assembly required. This piece here has a square in the back that actually slots in like so. Here's how it looks all the way at the top, and then shoved all the way down. Next we have the handlebars. I appreciate the detail and also the brake lines, and just look at how nicely painted the gauges are. Looking like Danny may need to stop at a gas station, and that pops into place like so. Then you have the foot peg that can slot in either here or here. So front facing, and here's what that looks like, and then push back, that's what that looks like. Stem to stern, and it's 9 inches long, or about 23 centimeters, and at its tallest point is about 4 3/4 inches, or 12 centimeters. Although I do like the concept, I was never all that into Ghost Rider, but when I saw him in comics back in the day, it was usually this guy. As Ghost Riders go, who's your favorite? Sound off in the comments. Near as I can tell, the head is reused from the retro card version, but one thing I want to draw your attention to is the incredible job they did painting those pinwheels on the inside of his eye sockets. This does a great job of representing his penance stare, and in general I do like the shading on the bone. The flame effect is fine and not too overdone. Moving down, I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure this body is all new sculpt. For one thing, Danny did have a very different jacket than Johnny. I really like that leather texture, and of course the spikes. More of those great spikes down here. But one reason I'm suspecting it's new is because it is pinless. The same thing goes for the knees, and even the pants have been given a really nice texture. Flipping them around, we can see more of that on the back. The chain is a floating piece. If you want to remove it, merely pop off the head and snake it around, and hey, doing that gives us a better idea of what's going on up here. Moving on down to the boots, we've got more spikes and more really lifelike texture. Overall, the motorcycle's pretty good. The scrapes and dings look good, though I do feel the whole thing would benefit from a dry brush. The paneling is very realistic, and the seat looks pretty lifelike. It's hard to tell, but there is some nice techie detail in the wheel well. I'm guessing that these spots are where they hid the screw holes, so it would probably look better if you displayed it from this side. The biggest issue are these eye holes, mainly because they're not supposed to be eye holes. They're supposed to be headlights. In fact, you can even see that on the box. You can fix it with some yellow construction paper, but at this price point, you really shouldn't have to. Overall, I'm very impressed, but the headlight situation does knock it down a peg. For presentation, I'm giving the 85 Years Ghost Rider 4 points. If you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and give it a like. Moving on to posability, and the articulation on this is pretty boilerplate except for one area of opportunity, the head. Given the nature of the design, it makes sense that Ghost Rider would only have a ball joint. Not really a whole lot of opportunity here for a dumbbell or a hinge, but remember these flames in the back? Those do get in the way a bit, and as such, you can only look up this high. Danny can look down this far though, which is pretty impressive. Danny also does get a pretty decent amount of tilt, side to side, and an extra hinge for an opening and closing jaw. Moving down, and Danny can raise his arms over 90 degrees, which is always nice to see. No butterfly joint or anything like that, but he does get complete rotation. And then traveling down the arm, and he has bicep swivel. Again, pinless double jointed elbows with a very nice bend, and wrists that can swivel and hinge up or down. Moving to the middle, and Danny Ketch has an ab crunch and a waist swivel. He can arch back this far, which is more than fine, and hunch forward this far, which is great. No tilt, of course, but he can twist. Below the spiky belt, and Ghost Rider has ball jointed hips, but these ones have drop hinges. Using those, he can kick 90 degrees and split this wide. Admittedly, not quite as wide as I would have expected with drop down hinges, but still more than serviceable. Naturally, he has thigh cut. Again, those double jointed knees are pinless and have a very deep bend. He also benefits from boot cut rotation, and ankles that can hinge, and like the spirit of vengeance from Johnny Blaze to Danny Ketch, pivot. As for the motorcycle, the wheels turn, and I guess you could say there's a bit of swivel here. Even if the head articulation's a bit limited, it is still good, and the drop hinge hips are a pretty nice surprise. In fact, the only way to really improve on this articulation would have either been butterfly joints or a diaphragm. As is, and for posability, I'm giving Ghost Rider a very respectable 4 points. Moving on to playability, and as you can imagine, this is where the fun begins. Starting with Ghost Rider, and he has his flaming chain. This is also reused from the retro card. Rather than paint, near as I can tell, this actually fades from gray plastic to yellow to red, and I have to admit the effect is really cool. Unsurprisingly, he can hold that in either hand, though you'll probably want to take this chain off first. You know, because it's technically the same one. Naturally, he has twin accessory holding hands, so he can grasp the handlebars of the motorcycle. That said, Danny comes with an alternate fist and an alternate open hand. As for the motorcycle, it includes some accessories as well. For one thing, we have these fiery tire stands. They've been cast in a neon translucent orange. Very nice flame detail. In fact, it blends right into the review station. Joking aside, this is great for when you want Ghost Rider just driving around. But then he comes with this flaming piece for popping the wickedest of wheelies. Of course, playability is more than just accessories. It's also about how well your figure plays with others. Starting with a couple of other 85 years figures, and here we have fellow drop hinge hip enthusiast Superior Spider-Man and Astonishing X-Men style Wolverine. Suddenly Ghost Rider doesn't seem that short now, does he? For another more street level hero, and here's the Man Without Fear 3-pack version of Daredevil. But for some fellow Midnight Suns, and here we have Blade, the Vampire Hunter, Morbius, the Living Vampire, the Walmart exclusive Deluxe Doctor Strange, the Walgreens, and I guess now Hasbro Pulse exclusive Ilyana Rasputin, also known as Magic, House of X style Wolverine, and the Scarlet Spider. Since Danny did fight him at one point, here we have Carnage, bringing us to the Renew Your Vows version of Spider-Man. For a relative scale comparison, here's Ghost Rider with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. Obviously, the fiery chain and tire stands are great, but that extra wheelie piece literally kicks it up a notch. Combined with the fact that side by side with other characters, his height is fine. For playability, I'm giving Ghost Rider 5 points. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. At $49.99, or the price of 2 figures, I feel like I've gotten more value out of this than other vehicle sets. The kickstand really adds something here. I predict that this is going to go quickly, so if you like what you see, get yours fast, or repent at leisure. For price, I'm giving the Marvel Legends 85 Years Ghost Rider 5 points, averaging out to a grand total of 4.6 out of 5. For the other 2 85 Years Marvel Legends figures I've looked at so far, check out one of these. Until next time, play nice and have fun.